My name's Brian, and I love football. It all started when I fell in love with a team that had a shark for a quarterback and a barefooted kicker. Growing up in a small town in South Jersey, I was inundated by the team called the Philadelphia Eagles. Any given Sunday, you know where to find me. I'd be on my couch, watching my beloved Eagles. Even as I grew older and eventually moved away from my hometown, I still found time to watch my beloved Eagles. About 10 years ago, I branched into a new realm of football called fantasy football. Fantasy football became a whole new part of my NFL experience. It brought me closer to the game, closer to the action. It made me my own Monday morning quarterback. What is fantasy football, you say? Fantasy football is really just what it sounds like. It's a fantasy NFL season, a fantasy NFL structure where you become your own coach. You play with 10 to 12 peers in a group which becomes your own league, and you do everything that a normal NFL coach would do. You draft your own players, you draw up your team every week, you put who's playing, who's on the bench, and throughout the season, based on all the stats that your players generate, you win games every week or lose games every week, eventually building up to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, just like a normal NFL coach would do. You look at the weather, you look at what stadium you're playing in, what time of year, is it turf, is it natural grass, is this receiver better on a cold day or on a warm day, is it going to rain, is it an open air stadium, do you need to worry about it? All of these things come into play when you're making your decisions on football Sunday and what players you're going to put in. And once your players are in, they're locked. And throughout the day, you're going to be able to look at the internet and follow live all the stats and points that your team has generated, as well as your opponents. At the end of the day, Monday evening, when the final game is played for the week, you either win or you lose. You get all the glory, you get all the shame. You are, again, your own Monday morning quarterback. Now, there are those of you out there, the true loyalists, that say, fantasy football has ruined the game. I'd like you to take a step back and say, what else has it actually done for the game? It's increased the fan base exponentially. From the casual male fan to even the female fan. It's opened up markets that had been historically low. It's also brought in completely new revenue streams to the NFL. With increased spectatorship comes increased total revenue. And there's been some completely new revenue streams that have come into the life of the NFL owner. Soon now you have print-based media, stat-based websites. There was even announced in USA Today a $600 million deal just to broadcast live streaming video and stats, real-time stats to the fantasy player and to the fantasy owner. These are all revenue streams that were either marginally existed or didn't exist at all, but now are thriving revenue streams helping the NFL work its way into the future and grow into the future. I personally used to watch local channels for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now I pay for premium TV service so I can watch all the games every Sunday. Now you may say that takes away from my love of the Eagles, but it doesn't. Personally, I still love the Eagles and I will always love the Eagles. But now I also love 31 other teams, depending on which players I have on which teams. There's some new teams that I hate. I used to only hate the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants. But now if you're playing against me, I don't care for you. It brings up some pretty sticky situations come Sunday when I have, say, the Eagles quarterback on my team playing against the Eagles defense on somebody else's team. I want my quarterback to play just well enough for my team, the Eagles, to win, and also for my fantasy team to win, but the defense to play just bad enough where, guess what? Fantasy team I'm playing against loses. That's win-win for me. But as you can tell, it can also be lose-lose. So, a whole other aspect you need to look at with it is now, instead of just buying Eagles merchandise, I'm enticed to buy several teams' merchandise. And I'm not the only fantasy football player that you'll go out there and see that has 16 different jerseys. Granted, I don't have that many jerseys, but I know plenty of people that do. So please, if you are truly an NFL loyalist and a fan of the NFL, I want you to embrace fantasy football for what it really is. Fantasy football is the NFL's new best friend.